From Tottenham's point of view,
Sure.
is there any chance that Ange Postecoglou was preparing for life with Harry Kane?
Well, he was very honest about that on Friday, and he said, look, when I came back from pre-season, he came back from his holidays, rather, he said, look, if we could do the deal before the season starts, I want to go. So there had been all that, oh my goodness, it's so unfair to Ange Postecoglou to sell him from under his nose just before the start of the season. He's never been planning for him with this season in mind. In many respects, personally, I think, and I've always felt it's better to rip the plaster off and sell him. You've got to rebuild. He had a year left on his contract. It would have been inconceivable to have an Mbappe situation. I know that's been resolved now, but where potentially he could have just said, look, I'm going to set up my contract no matter what. You're going to let a £100 million asset walk out the door for free next summer and go where he wants to. You've got to sell him. You've got to recoup. Yeah. I think Postecoglou has established, which I feel is so important, not just a replacement for Kane, but a culture where other players can step up and take responsibility. Because in my opinion, there have been too many players at Spurs hiding behind Harry Kane's goals. And that's the reason why in difficult moments, they've fallen apart. Whereas if you have a situation where he comes in and says, now it's on you guys, now you've got to put yourself in the frame, it's a lot more productive. Just one last thing on that. I look at some of the other clubs that have lost big players. Arsenal, when they were desperate to keep Aubameyang or Alexis Sanchez, and at Spurs when they were desperate to keep Eden Hazard and Courtois, and they've moved on. And we see it time and again in football. Manchester United lost Cristiano Ronaldo. They still won Premier League titles. It is possible to do that.
I don't think anyone has carried a team more than Harry Kane.
I agree, but Spurs need to grow up because
absolutely.
You look at the last 30 years, Carrick, Bale, Modric, Walker, Berbatov, Sheringham in the late 90s. They time and again they are enthralled to one player, and more than probably any other team in the top six. And they've got to grow up in terms of being able to be a team where other players take responsibility if he isn't available.
I think it's really important to have superstars within a team and the collective. The collective is the one what's going to win you the trophies in the end. And at the moment, when I scratch my head to think, when I look around, if I'm a young kid, what name do I want on the back of my shirt in that Tottenham team at the moment? Someone's going to come out of the woodwork. Someone's got to be a superstar. Maybe it's a Maddison. He looked very good at the weekend, got on the ball with creative. I think they need help. I think they need to go into the transfer market again if they're going to get anywhere near the top half of the league, because I really believe they're a mid-table side.
To get near the top half?
Absolutely. They finished 8th last season with 30 goals from Harry Kane. And it's not only about his goals, it's all about stopping them at the other end as well, because you won't have to score that many if you stop them. And I think they need to address that. It looks like Ange Postecoglou wants to play on the front foot, very attractive football. Fans will be happy with that. But at the same token, you can't play like you're managing Celtic in the Premier League. We saw Luton this weekend, for an example. They come up from the Championship, they play, make errors and get punished. You get punished in this league, it's unforgiving. So that comes with confidence. If he's got a style of how he wants to play, the fans will be happy with his style at the moment, but not if they're losing every single week and conceding goals and not scoring.
It's interesting you bring up the fans there, because one of the things that I noticed ahead of the Brentford game, even before it got underway, that is he took the players over to the away fans, and he's genuinely trying to build that sense of togetherness, which I think, with issues around Harry Kane being at the front of it, there were issues with the ownership and the fans, and he's trying to smooth that over.
That's what I mean about culture. That you've got to get that that culture of. You see it at Dortmund and other clubs like Liverpool. You can see it. Obviously they have the firepower like you've been referring to. But when you've got that bond between the players and the fans, suddenly you've got something to build on there, rather than you being the man in the front.
I think that was an instruction from the manager. I think they did that at Celtic. It's easy at Celtic when you go in front of the crowd and you have a huddle because they win every week. And might lose once in a blue moon. If you're losing every week, it'd be interesting if you lose 6 on the spin, whether they go over towards the away fans and do a huddle. It's not going to work. But he's trying everything.
Do you know what it made me think of was Jurgen Klopp when Liverpool got a draw against, was it West Brom?
West Brom,
and they went in front of the crowd and it was sort of mocked outside the club. But the supporters by that stage were on board with what he wanted to do, and they kind of understood that what he was trying to say was, we're in this together. And when you look at the way that Postecoglou set that Spurs side up, You look at little things like going over to see the fans beforehand. Do you feel that Spurs fans will be on board with the changes that he wants to make? Will there be understanding of the fact that Harry Kane has gone, and understanding maybe of the fact that this system does leave them very open?
I think they'll understand to a certain point, but as Tim was saying, if they go 2, 3, 4, 5 games without winning a game, then it can quickly change, like, very, very quickly. So I think the signs were quite good. I thought they started off the game really well on the front foot, and I thought I'm not used to seeing Spurs playing that way. It's been so negative for so long. Them getting on the front foot, trying to create opportunities. I thought Maddison looked really, really well. Defensively, they looked a little bit more solid. So I think the signs were good. Of course, there's still the frailties there and the goals that they conceded. But I still think if you're a Spurs fan, you see the way he wants to play on that front foot, you're excited, because that's all the Spurs fans have been saying. We want our Tottenham back. We want to play the Tottenham way. Well, I think you got a glimpse of that under Ange Postecoglou, I think.
I think that they were a little bit unfortunate yesterday as well, because Romero would have been alongside Van der Ven, who looks a very good player, very quick, the left-sided centre-half they've needed for so long. Sanchez isn't good enough. He tries very hard, but he comes in, he always has a mistake in him. His judgment isn't quite what it should be. And losing Romero as quickly as they did really did upset their game plans, and actually led to one of the goals, the equalising goal being conceded. But I think if he stays, they've got that stability in the back four. I think Porro's a superior right back to Emerson Royal. At the other side, Udogie looks good. They do need, as I've been saying before, that screen in front of the back four to protect them. If they get that, they can start to play. They want to play. And I think they'll be winning more games to 0.
Do you know, I like Romero, but again, he is very good. He's better than Davinson Sanchez. I agree, he's not good enough. But he's still got one of them elements in his game as well, where last season, where he'd get booked, and especially now with the new law changes, where he'd go and make a rash challenge, and it's like, ooh, it could be sent off again. So,
but now, don't you think that a little bit like when Alderweireld came and he made Vertonghen a better player? Don't you think that could be the case with Van der Ven and Romero, that we could see a different side? Because he looked okay until he got obviously the injury that forced him off. And I just wonder, sometimes a player comes on. Ledley King used to do it for years at Spurs. He could make me look like a centre-half. He was that good. And I think Van der Ven might be the making of Romero in terms of calming him down at the centre.
It's not about individuals at centre-half, it's about partnerships. And you're absolutely right. Hopefully Van der Ven is the answer. To me, he looks a bit wooden. I think he's very quick, 6'5".
You give with one hand, you take away with the other.
I mean, I'm just saying what I see. I don't know a lot about him. Hopefully he's a lot better than what I think, but he looks very wooden on the ball, slow on the turn, very quick in a straight line, enormously quick. Hopefully Romero and him could be the partnership what they need. I'm not sure that Ange wants the protection in front. If he wants the protection in front, he would have played Højbjerg and Skip. He didn't want to do that. He wants to play more expansive. Tottenham will be the best of the rest. They will struggle when they go up against the Chelseas, the Man Cities, the Man Uniteds, the Liverpools. That is when they're going to struggle, because they give the ball away, they're wide open, and they'll get punished.